Hi, kids. Welcome to the Late Night Picture Show. We're nearing the end here of Season 3, Season of the Witch. Now, I know I've been saying all season that I was going to have guest hosts on the show. And I know you think I'm a liar because Charlie didn't even get off his video game and come down here. Well, look who I have.
Hey guys, it's Ivy.
It's Ivy. Remember me telling you about working on Ivy's music videos? We got a pop star in the studio. Ivy and I have been watching something special because this is going to be the season finale of the Late Night Picture Show. And it's a special Texas Chainsaw Massacre marathon. I had to think about that. Marathon, massacre, something. Starting with the OG Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974.
Which, I don't mean to interrupt, I feel like I wasn't prepared for this number one. I've seen the remakes, but this first one, it was not what I was expecting, but we'll get into it more.
Who will survive? And what will be left of them? America's most bizarre and brutal crimes. What happened is true. The motion picture that's just as real. Okay, I'm going to squint and look at these little tiny letters here. We know about Tobe Hooper. Y'all have seen this already, I know. Okay, Marilyn Burns, Paul R. Partain, Edwin Neal, Jim Sidow, and Gunnar Hansen as Leatherface. Okay. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, Ivy here saw this later on. This was not the first one she saw, so I saw them in order because I'm old. Director Tobe Hooper. It's 1974. Vortex Incorporated was the copyright on the picture anyway. A group of hippie-ish kids is traveling across Texas in a beater van. Two couples and one of the girl's handicapped brother, Franklin. They are looking for their childhood home, which is now just an abandoned farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. Like a lot of Texas. Have you been to Texas? Have you been to Texas?
I've driven through it.
So you know.
Yeah.
Middle of nowhere. We pass cows and we pass oil wells. Along the way, they pick up a hitchhiker, which you don't do as much nowadays.
No, if I would have seen somebody on the side of the road and one of the friends was like, pull over, I would say, oh, hell no. Like, keep going.
So maybe in 1974 we pick up that hitchhiker. I mean, definitely in 1945 we pick up that hitchhiker, but kids, if you're watching this, don't do it today.
Yeah.
Well, this movie probably scared you out of picking one up anyway. This is not your average Joe, this guy. Once the nut nearly lights the van on fire, burning a picture of Franklin that he took and then wanted money for. They give him the heave-ho. They throw him out of the van and drive off. And he's like running alongside, kicking the van and stuff. Okay, so they stop. And they load up on some barbecue, but there's no gas to be had. They find the house and do some exploring. It is a trip down memory lane for Sally and Franklin, but Franklin, being trapped in his wheelchair, is stuck downstairs while they explore upstairs and make out and...
Well, and I thought for sure, I was like, he's going to be the first to go because he is not as easy to get away from the killer. So I thought for sure he'd be the first to go.
They left him alone down there and just upstairs. but Franklin wasn't the first to go. Now, I'm going to give you an extra warning on this one because I always do have spoilers, but I got spoilers going pretty far in this one because you've all seen it anyway. Now, where are we? The other couple decides to go for a swim, and Franklin reluctantly tells them where the swimming hole is. And I need some beverage.
Oh, let's
Look,
cheers.
We have adult beverage. This is not a Singapore Sling. It kind of looks like one, but it's a slow gin fizz. Because it's summertime. It's time for slow gin fizzes.
It's good.
And we got a few movies to go, so we don't want to be too wasted by the time we get to like 2017. Well, the watering hole's all dried up. It's just dust now. But wait, the guy, Kurt, whatever his name was, here's a generator. Hear that off in the distance? It's a generator and decides to go ask the neighbors for some gas. No one appears to be home, so Pam sits her cute short shorts on the swing while Macho K goes in to investigate. Big mistake.
Which, why would you go in? Why would you go into a house when there's nobody, like, no?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. Did I wander into even my neighbors' houses? Maybe I did when I was a kid, but not... Yeah, and I don't know about out there in the middle of nowhere. I'm the one that was alive when this was made. Now, granted, I was 9. So, Kay goes in to investigate, and soon Pam goes in the house as well, and is met with a room full of chicken feathers and human bones. Y'all remember the story of Ed Gein, right?
Well, and it was furniture, too. Wasn't it it was built with bones, wasn't it? Am I remembering it right?
Quite the craftsman making things out of bones and skin, just like Ed Gein was. I mean, who else was wearing a belt made of human nipples when they were arrested?
I left mine at home. So.
Ivy left hers at home. So we're not going to show that off. Then she is met with the same luck as her boyfriend. In fact, I think she was hung on a meat hook. Meanwhile, the sun is setting, and Sally's beau sets out to find the lost pair. Yep, you guessed it. He doesn't come back either. So now we have Sally and Franklin. Sally pacing by the van, waiting for all to come back. Actually, Franklin's kind of pacing too in his wheelchair.
Well, and he was being really annoying at this point in the movie.
I've heard other reviewers say it, that Franklin, for being handicapped, is like the most annoying character that has ever been in a horror movie. I did not make that up. I think even Joe Bob said that. So they finally decide to leave the lights on in the van and go looking. That's what you do, right? You just leave the lights on in the van and let's go look for them.
Well, and it's like, okay, you're out of gas, then you're going to be out of your battery. Like, yeah. Where's the common sense? That's what drove me crazy about this movie. They're like running from the killer, and instead of just hiding and being quiet, they're screaming the entire time. And when we were watching, I was like, no, shh, you got to be quiet. Like
she's like, shut up. Just run. We'll get there. Let's see. Again, big mistake. Franklin is quickly dispatched. Doesn't put up much of a fight there in the woods. And Sally is chased from one side of the county to the other.
Yeah, literally.
Screaming the whole way like a freaking siren. Eventually, she escapes to the gas station, only to find that the owner is kin with the chainsaw-wielding maniac and the crazy hitchhiker. What are the odds of that? Next, it is a night of horror beyond even her worst nightmares. And I won't spoil it anymore for you in case you're one of like maybe 3 people who haven't seen this. Actually, Britt hadn't seen it, so there's got to be a few of you out there. Just probably not a lot of people who watch my show on a regular basis have not seen this. Okay, we'll summarize now. I feel like I got to talk fast because we're like having witty banter, if you want to call it that. Witty on her part. Not so much mine. Hooper and set designer Robert A. Burns create a very detailed and creepy atmosphere in the house, loosely based on the story of notorious grave robber Ed Gein. As is the story itself. Brilliantly shot for 16mm camera. It looks every bit as good as the 35mm and even CinemaScope of the era. The cinematography is unusual.
It was actually really interesting to see this compared to the newer Texas Chainsaw Massacres, because this one actually had a lot of different shots that you don't see nowadays, where it was like close-ups of the eyeballs, like looking all over.
Yeah.
And so it made you feel almost like claustrophobic in a way, because it was very like, I don't know what the word is.
It was. The cinematography was fantastic. I mean, for as hurried as they were trying to shoot on this rented equipment in 16mm, it really turned out wonderfully. It looks every bit as good as the 35mm of the era. Unusual cinematography at times, but sometimes absolutely beautiful. This low-budget creep fest is a real winner. And I am going to give it 5 rings. What do you give it?
I'm going to give it a 3. Only because maybe I have too much common sense, but movies back then were obviously different than they are. Actually, I'll give it a 4.
For being old?
No, it's just different than movies now that I'm used to.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break, maybe freshen up our drinks, and we're going to be right back with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Part 2.
See you in a minute.